My name is Kevin Gill, and I conceived and designed the Backyard Wrestling series of video games. Backyard Wrestling is a really interesting phenomenon here in the United States and abroad. Basically, it's something that just started several years back. It was basically an extension of people's love of professional wrestling and of all the theatrics and extreme kind of action that was pioneered by companies like ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling out of Philadelphia and stuff like that. The cool thing, I guess, with Backyard Wrestling is just a lot of the freedom that it offers you. I think that it's arguably the only wrestling license that the license is more of a stepping stone to freedom than it is a limitation, in terms of we don't have to exactly duplicate the production value of a TV show that's on every week. And like, oh wait, that's not how the camera swings, that's not how the lights flash, and having to recreate 3 and 4 minute FMV sequences of someone walking to a ring. You have this giant environment. Everything in the environment is both it's interactive, it's also destructible. We've got some really great NPC interaction going on, and I think that's kind of where the magic of the game comes from. It's like, if you love wrestling, we've got a pretty solid wrestling foundation there with our new environmental gameplay engine and stuff like that, but it basically bridges the gap between a pick-up-and-play game that everyone would enjoy, something that really hardcore wrestling fans would like just because of the characters and the moves and the styles and stuff that are represented. Basically, what we did was we sat down with a lot of the editors, a lot of the reviewers, the critics, and very importantly, a lot of the fans as well, to get their kind of in-depth, like, what did you like, what didn't you like? And the primary things that people didn't like were things like heat-seeking weapons was a big one. People thought the graphics were a little bit not up to par. We basically made some breakthroughs on the development side, and it ends up basically giving us a new gameplay engine, which is the environmental gameplay engine. This engine basically gives us the ability to really turn up the graphics, which everyone can see in the footage and stuff here. Also, it gives us the ability to be the first officially announced online wrestling game for fall of 2004, which is super exciting. Those are some of the major points. The damage systems are all turned way up. The character interaction and environmental interaction is turned way up. Some of the other really cool stuff that the game has, like I'm really proud of the grappling system now. It's a traditional grappling system, but it's still innovative in the sense that you always start from your straight heads up, shoulder to shoulder kind of position in a traditional collar and elbow tie up. From there, using the shoulder buttons, you can then go to a side position and work on the arm, which is you can just do your basic twist, or you can go into full submission holds. You can tap the button again and then do a go behind, so you're holding the guy holding your opponent around his waist. So you can basically work all 4 sides of the body, being the front, back, left, and right sides. That multiplies the amount of moves that you have in the game too. Some people thought there wasn't enough moves before, so this multiplier, you now have several moves on each side of the body, as well as the addition of submission holds, which was something we didn't have before. We try to give the wrestlers as much input as we can. We just got a bunch of the characters working right before the event the other day, and then we had a bunch of the guys and girls up at the studio and stuff like that. So we got a couple of bits of feedback. Like New Jack, for example, just couldn't believe that it was him. Like, it's him. I can't believe it's me. And he's been in the ECW games and stuff like that before, but he thought this game captured him perfectly. A couple of the other people would be like, gee, why am I wearing a shirt? I'd rather be shirtless or whatever. So some of that stuff we're actually looking at right now, just to try to do some of the tweaks that the people wanted to, just keep everybody happy, and it's pretty cool in that regard. So basically, the soundtrack is something I was really proud of for the first game, and it's back, bigger and better than before. We tried to include like a 10 to 20 year period of underground, whatever you want to call it, hip-hop, hard rock, heavy metal, hardcore, punk rock, all kind of in some sort of a amalgamation of styles that all kind of work together, and covered a really long time frame. We love that approach, so we basically just did it again. It's funny, I guess with a lot of wrestlers, their in-ring persona is basically their own personality just turned up a few notches. It's kind of the difference between you just being super yourself, like, hey man, and being like, come on brother, let's do this sort of thing. It's just like being amped or whatever. The guys basically get real amped when they get to perform and get to do the show. Working with them for the most part is great. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of really unique personalities. Like, it sounds funny to say, completely normal guys. And Supreme's obviously an interesting looking guy. He's got a lot of tattoos, he's got a lot of facial piercings, he's got a purple goatee. And you would think just, from the look of him, the human horror film Supreme, that he would just be this super freaky guy. But when I was talking to him the other day, he was just like, well, he's like, people might look at me and think that I'm not normal. He's like, but am I not just sitting here with you right now having a normal conversation? He's like, I'm married, like I have a child, I go to every PTA meeting. Like people there look at me like I'm crazy too, but I'm just a regular guy.
Did I go too far? I'm sorry. You just touched on a little, you touch on a subject.
So he's kind of, he has a personality, and you can kind of let out a lot of aggression and just also a lot of just creativity, just having kind of an alter ego, that you could step up and play.
If you want to wrestle me, get on the game, deal with it. I'm Supreme. Pick Supreme, go against Supreme, deal with it. You're going to get your ass kicked.
On the New Jack side of things, like New Jack is not too different at all. His wrestling personality and his own personality, instead of like say where Supreme is maybe a 5 normally and he turns it up to 8, to be Supreme. New Jack I think runs around a 9 or a 9.5 all the time.
Yo, this is New Jack right now, and I'm two-fisted, and you watching GameSpot Live, believe it.
I think Andrew WK is like a super colossal talent and personality.
Value and treasure every single day. What are you going to do with it? You're not going to sit around and be an effing wimp. You're not going to be a friggin' pansy. You're going to go out there and you're going to make your dreams come true, or at least you're going to die trying.
We're super pleased to have him involved. He is truly one of the nicest and most inspirational people I've ever met in my life. And hopefully, who knows, God willing, maybe you'll see Andrew WK as a playable character in a backyard wrestling game in the future.
You will give me, as a video game player, you'll give me the guts and the determination, the fury to actually jump and smash and crash and tumble.
Backyard Wrestling 2, There Goes the Neighborhood, will be coming out this October 2004 on PlayStation 2 and Xbox, online enabled.